Hey everybody, today is June 27th, 2023, and today we're going to talk about the stock market. And before we begin, please read the disclaimer and pause this video as you read it. Okay, before we begin, I just want to apologize for not making a video last week. It was a long weekend, I had some family over, and sort of lost track of time. But we're back again, and we're going to talk about the stock market, which is looking to put in a small pullback. And we'll see, the question is, will this pullback continue down lower? Or are we going to hold this level and continue up higher, right? So this is sort of like the long-awaited pullback that everyone's been waiting for, right? We've said, so I've been tracking the S&P for several months now on my Twitter page, and you can follow me on EddieLux _ on Twitter. And so we basically, for a year long, we've been in between the 4,200 and 3,800 range, right? So we're in this consolidation area with deviations to the upside and to the downside, right? But for the most part, we're in this range between 3,800 and 4,200 from May of 2022 till the end of May of 2023 this year, right? And you can see that right on cue, right after the 1 year time frame in June 1st, we literally just had this really strong breakout. So of course, with every breakout, we got to come back and retest, right? If you look at the local, the previous range high of this, this range here, you see that when we had the deviation above, we actually hit the 200-day moving average, right? It's called the kiss of death. When it fails to break above, notice how we literally just touched this and then we just plunged below, right? So it's not surprising to me that we're pulling back to try to retest this level. As you can see, we're pretty much right on cue, right? And we've also come down to fill this gap. So the question is, are we going to hold this level? Whoops. Are we going to hold this level around 4,300? Or are we going to come down and perhaps retest the 4,200 level, right? Of course, what we want to do is we want to hold this level. That's going to show strength. And whenever we have a strong breakout rally, right, we want the pullbacks to be shallow, right? Because that suggests that any sort of supply is being absorbed by the market, by the bulls, right? And that takes a lot of the selling pressure off, right? So I like to describe this as sort of like the long-awaited pullback. Like this breakout that we've seen has been like everybody's been talking about it, like, oh wow, this is a strong rally, right? And a lot of it has been on the backs of the AI sort of bubble that small mini bubble that we've been having, right? And with the tech stuff, especially the Nasdaq, right? This is the Nasdaq 100 having this spectacular rally off the October to Q4 lows, right? So the question is, how much are we going to pull back if we do pull back, right? The problem with that is that if everybody's expecting a pullback, usually the market doesn't pull back as much as people expect because people are already positioned for it, right? If people are expecting pullback, they're probably either waiting cash or they're all shorting. And so there's a lot of more upside because if the market starts to go up, right, of course the short sellers are going to get squeezed. And of course the people who are waiting in cash are going to feel pressure to buy back in. And that's going to cause a major rally. So I think that there's a good chance this could actually be the bottom. I mean, just look at the VIX. The VIX has actually been plunging. Usually when we see like a possible move, a big move to the downside, we'll see the VIX starting to rise slowly because the smart money is positioned to the short side, right, to the downside. And then we see, of course, a big spike up higher as the short sellers start to close their positions after the price tanks, right? But we're not really seeing that. We're seeing the VIX bleed even as the stock market goes down, which is usually very strange, right? Usually when the stock market goes up, you're going to see the VIX go down. So in that case, it's a pretty good sign that perhaps the buyers are stepping in to defend this level, right? Which is really good because, again, when we see these breakouts, a sign of strength is if the pullbacks are shallow instead of it coming down and breaking back into this range, right? If we see the price break back into this range again, that's not going to be as bullish, right? Because this just end up being another deviation, just a higher deviation, right? And the last thing we want to see is to see this trend fall back into this range and then plunge all the way to the range low, right? Then we're technically still in this range, right? Instead of having a breakout and then perhaps go towards to retest the previous all-time high back in 2021, right? So that is a challenge now, is that we are having a slight pullback, but now we have to try to move up higher to retest around perhaps 4,600 on the S&P. If not, we're going to come back down and retest the 4,200 level, which was the previous resistance in this range, right? Let's see. Okay. Now, interestingly, the fear and greed index has actually been going down. It was like a lot higher when we covered it a couple weeks ago. See, 1 week ago, 78. But the fact that it's going down is actually good because it's going to position the market better for upside, right? If we're like really high extreme greed, there's really not much more upside before we're starting to get into those, excuse me, overbought zones, right? As you can see in the RSI over 70 is overbought, right? But since we peaked, it's actually been coming down, and now we're sort of like in this range area that we've been in since we were in that year-long consolidation, right? Sorry, I'm going all the way back here, right? So now we're within the range. So the oscillators have been positioned in more of a neutral stance rather than overbought, right? So this is actually a good thing because now it's showing that the market's trying to find a bottom, and we have a nice rally today. But of course, one day green candle is not enough to signal a bottom. So we're gonna have to wait a couple more days. I'll definitely do a chart update on Thursday on my Twitter site, EddieLux_. Just go to the most recent. So this was last Thursday. I didn't do a video last Tuesday, but I did do a chart last Thursday. So I said S&P 500 looks to take a breather after breaking out of a year-long consolidation, which is what we saw, right? So last week we had our first red candle in like 5 weeks, which is very healthy, right? We don't want this thing to go straight up, right? Because usually when we have a like parabolic almost move up, it tends to have a even harder crash to the downside, right? We want a much more stable rise, right? So I wouldn't mind seeing this come back down a little bit and rise at a much more sustainable rate instead of just shooting straight up, right? But then again, the price was like pretty suppressed last year because of the bear market. So we could be seeing a lot of people who have been waiting out the market, looking to buy back in, right? And they don't want to be the last ones in. So you see the market squeeze a lot higher if we are able to defend this level. Of course, like I said, we end up falling back into the 4,200 to 3,800 range. That could, just wait for this to load. That could be, more of a sign that we're probably still in this, ranging market, and perhaps in a bear market, if the market comes down below 3,800, right, takes out 3,800. But right now, it's not very lucky. We have to give benefit of doubt to the bulls because we technically are in a bull market, right? We are making higher highs and higher lows, right? This market is looking good. The moving averages are positioned in a way that is bullish. So we have to give benefit of the doubt to the bulls that this will continue up higher, and that for now at least the bulls have managed to put in a range low over here. And if we are able to defend this level, which is also right the previous swing high right back in August of 2022, then I believe that this can actually go up a lot higher, and this could potentially be the bottom. And we could see the breakout from the range continue up a lot higher. But of course, we'll have to wait and see for more updates in the markets, news, catalysts, events that could affect the markets going forward. And I'll definitely update you Thursdays on charts and Tuesdays on videos. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, useful, informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. Appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.